opioid epidemic began in the early 1990s and continues to this day. The opioid epidemic is older than us, probably would have graduated by now, but you probably aren't familiar with the crisis until recently. Yes, thankfully more attention has finally been brought to the crisis, maybe because companies like Purdue Pharma have 2,000 lawsuits against them for their role in starting and continuing the opioid crisis. According to the BMJ, Canada ranks second highest in per capita use of prescription opioids and first for per capita consumption of Dilaudid. In Alberta, emergency visits due to opioid overdose rose by 1,000% in a 5-year span. And as these stats rise, the previous year's record of opioid deaths is shattered by the following year. In the first 9 months of 2018, almost 3,300 Canadians died from opioid-related overdoses, and these numbers aren't slowing down. With new synthetic opioids like fentanyl being introduced to the market, the epidemic will only continue to get worse if no change is made. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid used medically to sedate, but has recently found its way into almost every street drug. And being 50 to 100 times more lethal than morphine, the difference between a high and death is smaller than a pin.
Fentanyl is a new synthetic drug that is odorless, colorless, and flavorless, similar to Justin Trudeau. Just between January 2016 and March 2019 alone, there has been 12,800 fentanyl-related deaths. We blame it on drug-crazy teens and people smuggling and selling drugs, but recently the government has been preaching about harm reduction and safe ways to use. But how could drug users use safely and get help when many users are scared to go to jail? Yes, we do have the Good Samaritan Act, but how could drug addicts know about it when most of Canada doesn't even know about it? We do have methods of harm reduction, but we just don't utilize them. It's similar to saying we want to prevent teen pregnancy and support pregnant teens, but then hide condoms in the birth controls. Let's look at the difference. 3,800 people die yearly from fentanyl overdoses. In safe injection sites, there has been a total of 2,395 overdoses, but 0 deaths. Yes, 0. As well, HIV and hepatitis C rates decreased dramatically. It's like someone was saying, let's help everyone in Canada and help substance users live a better life, but then someone else came in saying, or we can ignore the effective solution we have, and let's spend the money and time on legalizing marijuana to make money instead. As Kanye West once said,
saying she a gold digger.
But I will say, Canada is being a gold digger. It is not good enough to tell drug abusers that there is help and they should seek help. It is time to not just say we care, but truly show we care and that we can help invest money in Canadian life, instead of wasting it on Job Fest Music Festival, which costs $3 million, which is the equivalent of one supervised injection site.
Prescription drugs have been climbing up the addiction scale faster than irritation when playing a game of Where's Waldo. We're so worried about addicts on our streets that we're oblivious to the addiction capabilities of the very drugs that our own educated doctors prescribe us. Nowadays, there's no single face to addiction. A recent study has found that there is 3 times more abuse in prescription medication than heroin. And because people think that it's not as dangerous to use the drugs that our doctors prescribe to us, dependence can quickly form and a habit can develop from there. Prescription opioids are also a go-to for many people with mental illness, as they have analgesic properties which decrease pain and anxiety. This is why 50% of the people that seek help for addiction also have mental illness. So tell me, is it ethical for doctors to be handing out prescription medications like candy on Halloween night? According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services of Canada, an increase in the availability and variety of medications with psychoactive effect have contributed to misuse, abuse, dependence, and addiction. So how can we treat people that have become physiologically dependent on prescription medications? Because detoxification sure as hell isn't enough. We need to set up interventions using cross-effect prevention methods such as motivation enhancement therapies and cognitive behavioral therapies, kind of like a double whammy. Doctors need to have a more detailed criteria for people they prescribe RX opioids, because as of right now, the criteria is easy to learn and many people get prescribed and diagnosed with SCP. As a wise man once said, what you do now will come back to you in the future. So it's important to prevent misuse before given the opportunity.